Hey there, Hetty here. Eris recently posted a video response to one of those daily prompts regarding the place of spellcraft in one's practice. The sort that asks, do you cast spells? Do you write your own? Is spellcraft a necessary component of your path? Etc. I've linked the video below and thought I'd upload my own take on this topic because I thought it was kind of fun. The question of whether spellcraft is a core component of one's practice is going to vary, obviously, and a lot of that variability is going to hinge on the way each of us defines spellcraft. I tend to think of it as action taken with the express purpose of inducing change, regardless of whether that change is externally or internally focused. My own practice is also centered on discovery, understanding, expression, and has a strong experiential component. As a result, yes, I would say that I do engage in a decent amount of spellcraft. However, the actual proportion of the time I spend on spellcraft changes from month to month and year to year, and I've gone long periods without engaging in any at all. I tend to find that not flexing those muscles, though, lessens the quality of my spiritual practice overall. This may not be the case for all or even most people, but I note a distinct difference in my own sense of connection to the deities I work with and to myself when I let spellcraft lapse. Part of this no doubt relates to the specific identity of those deities to whom I'm committed, and to which the bulk of my practice is focused. In my mind, they're very much driven to do, and our work and relationship has always depended on the exploration and expansion of the boundaries of my own experiences and worlds. Part of this is also practical, and I mean this in two senses. On one hand, engaging in spellcraft is particularly evocative and engages raw emotions and drives that are themselves potent and powerful. My practice has always been at its best when I've been in touch with those elements of myself and my gods, and so all aspects of my practice benefit from their induction. On the other hand, my spellcraft tends to rely on flexing creative muscles, which is itself inspiring. I often find that during the process of developing a spell, I'll be struck by an idea for some new approach that I've not yet tried, but that perfectly fits my needs. These new approaches then often make their way into rituals, opening up new avenues of exploration and providing me a new tool to play with in other parts of my practice. Were it not for the specific needs of a single spell, I doubt if many of those approaches would ever have occurred to me. In all of what I've said, I suppose it's probably apparent that, as a rule, I do write my own spells. I do recall trying out some spells found in books when I was just starting out forever ago, but it's been a very long time since I've replicated another person's spell or ritual in its entirety. Although I'm still occasionally tempted to try my hand at something out of an old manuscript or grimoire, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with replicating somebody else's spell. If something in it speaks to you, I say go for it. You may find that the process helps nail down what you are responding to, at which point you'll be able to incorporate that in more of your work, and in so doing, elevate it. It's certainly been true in my experience. It's an especially good way to test new waters as well. But I admit I do tend to believe that most people are likely to get the absolute best results when infusing their own touch into their spells. And that's a heavy touch, ideally. I do occasionally use other spells as a jumping off point, or as fodder for my own take on a spell. I say occasionally, but really I've read so many that it's probably the rule rather than the exception, even if I'm not consciously aware of where those ideas are coming from. A really great line of prose I'll rip off blatantly and mercilessly, for instance, and then embed it in my own spell's verbal components. On that note, I suppose that I should state explicitly that I do consider verbalization and vocalization to be spell components in their own right, and that I have a particular love for writing out and memorizing specific passages for use in ritual and spellcraft. For me, there's something genuinely compelling in the composition and recitation of so-called words of power. Playing with tone, breath control, and a combination of internal and external dialogue occurring simultaneously has also resulted in some really interesting effects that I would encourage anybody interested to explore themselves. Other spell components may likewise be inspired by another person's work, and I've riffed off those, although admittedly the odds of me doing so are vastly improved when the author provides a coherent and detailed explanation of their rationale for using this or that. I tend to respond to rationale-based design, which I suspect surprises no one who's been following my channel for any length of time. When it comes to incorporating spellcraft in my practice, really, my biggest challenge is figuring out what it is I actually want badly enough to induce a sense of driving need. Like many people before me, and largely because of them, and my own experiences obviously, but the seed was clearly planted by them, I tend to agree that drumming up genuine desire is a core component of worthwhile and effective spells. I think of this as the first world problem of spellcraft. When things are generally going well in life, it can be difficult to locate one's drive. In some cases, this problem has been solved by having others ask me to work a spell on their behalf. The desire to lend a helping hand and the curiosity of finding out whether a new approach I've been struck with will work will often provide the necessary passion to pull something great together. I have learned, though, that a half-hearted spell isn't worth the paper I've written it on. In the absence of genuine desire, I won't proceed at all. Fortunately, consistent effort spent on self-exploration tends to drum up enough evidence of imperfection that there's always something worth casting. And I will leave you on that note. So thanks again, Eris, and a lovely day to you all. Until next time.